Hello. Okay, good. Hello, this is Ronnie, and just waiting for some people to join us. We're live on YouTube. I don't know why I've got my name on here. I was at a meeting the other night, but anyway, so the topic of today's meeting is going to be weight loss or weight gain on a raw vegan diet. Weight loss or weight gain on a raw vegan diet. So if you are interested in those topics, please feel free to watch, and we're going to get into this in a couple of minutes, and we're going to talk a bit more about this all, and we'll see if anyone joins. And if you've got any questions, then feel free to ask questions. I'm not sure if I can go and check on YouTube at the same time, if I can go and have a look and watch to it so I can see the comments on YouTube, but I will try. Can I look at my own channel? I'm not sure. Sorry for taking a little bit of time here, but I should be live. Yeah, I'm live on Facebook right now. I'm live on YouTube. So yeah, so if you want to put a comment below. Otherwise, we're just going to get into the webinar. Where's it gone? Oh, here it is. Okay, well, it doesn't look like a lot of people are joining tonight, unfortunately, so we will go ahead and get started. So tonight's topic is weight loss, weight gain. Well, I've got a few people have joined. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining, guys. We're just going to get into it now, and we've got more people joining right now. That's great. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. So we'll give it a couple of minutes because it seems like people are joining now, and it'd be interesting if you want to ask a question, you can do so in the chat box at the side, either at the side or at the bottom. You can go to the chat and you can ask any questions that we'll get to at the end. So I've got my own little presentation to go through on this topic, and I'll try and include some of the questions, and then we'll get going. The reason that I want to address this topic is that I think there is a lot of confusion around weight loss and weight gain on a raw vegan diet, or really on any diet. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of information that is confusing, so it's hard to really grasp. So I want to go through it in a way that I think should make everything pretty clear, because it is confusing as to why a lot of people are confused as to why they're maybe gaining weight and other people aren't, or they're not gaining weight or whatever. And it's a very emotional issue as well, because obviously it's related to how you feel. It affects how you feel, what weight you are. It affects potentially how people look at you, how they treat you. It affects what you can do with your life. So it's a real emotional issue, and some people feel like it's something they have no control over and something that they cannot stop and they can't do anything about. So it's a really serious issue. It's something that we should take very seriously. Thanks for joining, people. We're just getting in right now. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We've got more and more people joining now, but we'll get into it because I don't want to waste any of you guys' time who's come on early. So, from the very beginning, human society, in the Western world in particular, but now really all over the world, is facing a crisis of obesity and overweightedness, if that is a word. I think it's a word, overweightedness. Obesity is now a rising problem among children. Now, what does obesity mean? Obesity is it's a particular amount. It's actually something like if you're 30 kilograms per meter squared of your body, you're obese. That is the technical sort of measurement of obesity. And we all know what it means, really. It just means that someone's severely overweight to the point that it's really starting to affect their health, affect their life, and everything else. It never used to be a problem. People were never substantially overweight, really ever. And now it's becoming a problem, not only among adults, but amongst children. It was a problem that only ever really happened to the very rich and basically never happened to poor people. And now it's the other way around, where poorer people are now very at risk of becoming overweight. And it not only reduces your life expectancy being overweight, but it does make you more prone to getting various diseases and issues. Obesity increases the likelihood of various diseases and conditions, particularly cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, obstructive sleep apnea, and certain types of cancers, osteoarthritis, and depression. Being overweight is actually the second biggest risk factor of connected to getting cancer. So the two major things that can kill you in life or kill you early, being heart disease and cancer, both of these are contributed to in a big way by weight loss, by obesity, and being overweight. So it's a very, very serious thing. So why are we able to gain so much weight? Because not all animals are able to become overweight. In order for an animal to do so, they must be able to take in excess food and store it on their body as tissue. This tissue can then be broken down later on to create fuel for the body in times of famine. So it's a fantastic strategy for an animal to stay alive in times when there's no food, to be able to make use of the abundance of food when it is abundant and actually store some of it for the times when there's a lack. And now we don't require that at all because we have an excess of food all the time. We have the ability to store food almost for as long as we want to store it. And so we don't have those issues anymore. So our body is really adapted for a time and a climate and a scenario in which we might not have had access to food all the time. So we have a tremendous ability to actually to store excess food as excess tissue. And we'll get to what types of tissue in a moment. So that it's very likely at one time humans didn't always have access to enough food. So we developed the ability to be able to store it on our body. So what are the main reasons that we lose or gain weight? So we're mostly talking about weight loss, but weight gain is just the other side of the coin, really. So when we gain or lose weight, there are three things that influence our weight mostly. Of course, we've got our bones, we've got our internal organs and things like that. These all are part of our weight, but we're really talking about the things that fluctuate a lot, or the things that we have control over fluctuating. So those are the fat that we carry, the water weight that we carry, and the muscle weight that we carry. So those are the three things: the fat that we carry, the water weight that we carry, and the muscle weight that we carry. And mostly when someone has gained excess fat, gained excess weight, the far majority of that is excess fat that has been stored over the body. So we are storing excess food as tissue, and that tissue is fat tissue or adipose tissue. And we'll mostly be talking about fat gain and water weight gain in terms of weight. And they're the most important. So when it comes to muscle weight, people always talk about putting on muscle, like men talk about putting on however many pounds of muscle. And we really have a mistaken idea that we can put on and lose a lot of muscle weight. And actually, our ability to do that is very limited. We can build muscle and put on muscle weight, but it takes a very long time for us to put on any significant amount of muscle weight. It takes a very long time for our body to lose that muscle weight. If we stop training, we don't just immediately lose all that muscle. The muscle becomes less conditioned, but we don't necessarily lose the weight. And a lot of people that have went on a raw vegan diet, they think they've lost all their muscle. They've lost and lost and lost a lot of muscle because they're not as strong as they were and they're not as big as they were. But the reality is that what they've lost mostly is fat. It's mostly fat most of the time. And when you lose fat, you actually aren't as strong anymore. And there's a little bit of it's kind of confusing why that is, but if you're always carrying extra body fat, you will be stronger if you think about it. If you're always walking upstairs with 20 extra pounds, you're going to be stronger because you're always training at a higher weight. So when you lose that weight, inevitably, often people aren't as strong and they think they've lost muscle. Well, the body is very efficient with keeping muscle and not with losing muscle. So muscle doesn't tend to be a big factor. If you're losing and gaining weight rapidly, it's not going to be muscle that's a big part of it. So we're going to talk mostly about water weight and muscle weight. So if we talk about water weight first, any rapid rise or loss in your weight is water. Any rapid. So if you gain 10 pounds in a week or you lose 10 pounds in a week, a lot of that's going to be water, if not all of it. It has to be, because we cannot gain muscle, we cannot gain or lose fat that quickly. It's impossible to do so. And a lot of people that go on crash diets, and especially keto diets and diets where they cut out carbohydrates, they get a very rapid weight loss in a week. They get a 10-pound weight loss sometimes in a week or less. And obviously, we hope that's going to continue so that they can continue to lose huge amounts of weight, but it never will continue. And the reason is that they've lost water weight, and you can't just continue to lose water weight every week. The reason that they're losing water weight is because they are cutting out carbohydrates from their diet. We'll get into this a little bit more later. And when you cut down on carbohydrates, you deplete your glycogen stores. And your glycogen is the way that the body stores sugar and carbohydrates. We store it as glycogen, which is in our muscle tissue. And when we deplete that by not eating carbohydrates, the water that we use, to put it another way, when we store glycogen, we must store water as well to process that glycogen. When we run out of glycogen, we get rid of all that water. So we have a rapid weight loss. As soon as we fill up that glycogen again, we have all that water back. And that is the main reason that people lose and gain water weight quickly, or gain weight quickly. It's all water weight, and it's an illusion, and it doesn't work long term. People that go on raw diets and detox diets and things like that, they also get the same effect. Sometimes because they're not eating enough and they're depleting their glycogen as well. But there is another factor in going raw vegan, which is you stop eating certain things like salt in particular, and other things but mostly salt, which makes your body store extra water. So if you give up salt for a week, you're guaranteed to lose weight. You're guaranteed to lose maybe 5 to 10 pounds of weight just by giving up salt and doing nothing else. Because you are getting rid of all this water weight. Your body will drop a lot of water because you're not taking in lots of salt that has to be diluted in the water and processed with all this water. So it's important to realize there is an illusion there in different diets where you lose weight quickly, you lose weight over the short term, but you gain it all back again quickly because it's just water weight you're losing. And that's not an effective way to lose weight over time. For most people, the issue with excess weight is never going to be water and not likely to be muscle. No one's really looking to lose muscle anyway. It is always going to be that they're storing too much fat. And that's where all the major issue is. So we need to work out, why are we storing this excess fat? How do we deal with that? In effect, what causes us to gain all this weight? So thanks a lot for joining, everyone. Just if you've got any questions, you can go to the chat box on the side. I hope this is interesting so far, and we'll keep going. So just to summarize what we've went through, just for anyone that's just joined, obesity and being overweight is a major problem, major risk to your health. We're able to gain weight because basically our body's adapted to be able to do that. Probably at one time, we lived in times of famine and drought, and we had to be able to store, those people that stored extra body weight, excess food as body weight, were able to live longer. We don't have that issue anymore, and that's causing a problem because lots of people are gaining weight now. And the main reasons that we gain weight, there's only 3 things that are going to affect your weight, and that's the fat that you carry, the muscle weight you carry, and the water weight you carry. And the fat that you carry is the main thing we're going to look at, because water weight is quite limited, but it is responsible for most rapid weight loss and rapid weight gain is all water weight. And your muscle weight doesn't fluctuate very quickly. And even if you stop exercising and everything, your muscle weight won't fluctuate that much. So it's mostly fat that we need to look at to really understand how to lose weight. So what causes us to gain weight? Well, in order to gain weight, there is one condition that is completely necessary. And that is, we must be taking in more calories than we are using. We must be taking in more calories than we are using. That condition must be happening for us to gain weight, or for us to remain overweight. We must be taking in more calories than we are using. So then what is a calorie? Well, a calorie is simply a unit of measurement of the energy that is in the food that we eat, the fuel. And the reason that we have to eat, or one of the reasons, is that every single day we go into a calorie deficit. So we eat, we use up, we create an amount of energy just through breathing in. We create some energy, but we don't create enough from that. So we have to eat to make up for the deficit of fuel that we have every day. Same way with a car or anything else, right? It's the same thing. So we have to take in fuel from food. And we must eat enough calories to survive. If we don't eat enough calories, we eventually lose so much weight that we will have to eat ourselves, and then we die. So we must take enough calories in. And calories are a measurement of the energy that's in the food that we eat. To gain weight, we must be eating a calorie excess. We must be eating more calories than we are losing. That is just, there is never a situation. So some people think that they are gaining weight because they've got a thyroid issue, or gaining weight because of some other condition, a hormonal issue, but they must be eating a calorie excess to gain weight. It cannot be the case that you're just gaining weight because of a thyroid condition. There must also be a calorie excess. On the other side of this, to lose weight, we must be eating a calorie deficit. We must be eating a calorie deficit to lose weight. And I think that some people have been confused about that in the raw vegan world, that maybe you can just go raw vegan and eat as much as you like and you'll automatically lose weight. Well, that might be the case, but it's confused, and it's confusing the way it's put across. The reason for that is that not all calories are equal. So different calories, or calories that come from different sources, have different effects on the body. That's where all this becomes a little bit confusing. And we can often confuse calories with volume. What I mean by that is we look at a large amount of food and we immediately think that's going to make me fat or that's going to make me put on weight because we see a large amount of food. But it's not about the size of the food or the volume, it's about the calories. So a good example is that one head of lettuce that's about this size is maybe 60 calories. One whole head of lettuce, 60 calories. In order to eat enough lettuce for example, for someone that eats 2,000 calories, well, that's about 40 heads of lettuce nearly. If you wanted to eat enough to eat just enough from lettuce for one day, 40 heads of lettuce. On the other side of that, you've got a teaspoonful or like a little spoonful of oil, which is about 200 calories. So just one little spoonful of olive oil or whatever, it's about 200. I think it's about 150 to 200 calories, depending on the size. And that's just for that very small amount. So people eat a salad, all this lettuce and other vegetables, then they put olive oil on and they don't realize that the olive oil makes up the far majority of the calories. So calories are not about volume. Calories are about the proportion of different macronutrients within the food. So calories are not equal to the size of the food. Calories are equal to the proportion of different macronutrients that are within the food. This is maybe getting a little bit complicated, but try and follow me. If you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. So the calories in our food only come from 3 macronutrients. So there's all sorts of different nutrients in food, but there's 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Now, there's no need really to get into what all of these are, but they are basically different chemicals, different nutrients. Carbohydrate, hydrated carbons, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. We all know what types of foods are high in carbohydrates. Fruit is all carbohydrate-rich food. Vegetables are, although they're much less calories. And then we have, in terms of cooked foods, we have obviously bread, pasta, rice, corn, all of these things, grains. These are high carbohydrate foods, and you all know that. And the reason that we call it a high carbohydrate food is the proportion is that the calories in the food are mostly made up by carbohydrates. So the calories are mostly made up by carbohydrates in those foods. We also have, sometimes we have protein-rich foods, but these foods are very rarely predominantly protein. In fact, when we look at different diets and we look at the proportion of protein in different diets that makes up the calories in the diets, it's actually quite similar. So vegetarians, meat eaters, vegans, and so on, the proportion of calories made up from protein is usually roughly the same in all diets. It's roughly the same, somewhere between 10%, 15%. It doesn't change that much. So a lot of these foods that are protein rich are actually much higher in fat than they are in protein. So things like meat, for example, is a great example. Everyone thinks meat is protein rich, and it does have a lot of animal protein in it, which isn't necessarily that good for us, but it does have a lot of animal protein in it. But by far, the most of the calories and the energy that you're getting from meat is usually from the fat. And that's the same with fish, and that's the same with chicken and lean meats. It's all mostly fat is the calories that people are getting. For some reason, the marketing companies that promote these products don't call them fat-rich products, but call them protein-rich products because it sounds better. And it's the same with, obviously, a lot of processed foods like oil. These are almost entirely fat. But in terms of protein, nuts and seeds, people think are protein-rich. Once again, they are higher in protein than some other foods, but they are much higher in fat, and the majority of the calories come from the fats in these foods. So nuts and seeds, and obviously dairy products are all incredibly high in fat. They're not, protein, they're not predominantly protein, they're mostly fat in terms of calories. Fats, and some foods are labeled as being high in fat, obviously oil, butter, other butters, nut butters, these are all very high in fat, these foods, mostly fat, and that's why these are the most high, the most dense, the most calorie dense foods. So the foods that are most calorie dense are the things that have the most fat, like olive oil, like nut butters, other dairy, butters, milk. These are all the very high calorie foods. And eggs as well. So eggs, some people would say eggs are a protein rich food, but they're much higher in fat. So different food sources have different amounts of each macronutrient. Some foods are described as being carbohydrates or high carb foods, and some as being protein rich. In reality, most foods are either predominantly carbs or fats. Now, the reason that foods that are high in fat have more calories is because fat molecules or fat, so fat molecules essentially, but for every gram of fat, there is 9 calories of energy. Whereas for every gram of carbohydrate or protein, there is 4 calories. So if you have an equal weight of carbohydrate and an equal weight of protein, they're about the same in calories. But if you have an equal weight of fat, it'll be more than double the calories of either carbohydrates or protein. Hope that kind of makes a lot of sense as to why oil or fatty foods are much denser in calories, much denser in calories, because individual grams of fat are double the calories of individual grams of carbohydrate and protein. So if you wish not to gain weight, we should limit the amount of foods that are predominantly fat, as these are far higher in calories, and and when we already know that you must be in an excess of calories to gain weight, then eating foods that are higher in calories is something that we want to avoid because it promotes weight gain. But there is another factor to this, which is that carbs and fat are treated differently by the body. So the foods that are predominantly carbohydrate and the foods that are predominantly fat are treated differently. So although you need to be at an excess of calories to gain weight, there is a difference between being at an excess of carbohydrates and an excess of fat in terms of extra calories. The body deals with these two things differently. And when we learn about that, that's why we realize we really must stay away from the foods that are high in fat in order to actually lose weight. Foods that are high in fat are immediately stored as body fat on the body. So let's go through that again. This is very important. A food that is high in fat, that fat is immediately stored as body weight. That fat is then used if we go into a calorie deficit. So that is a very important thing to grasp. It's a very, very important thing to grasp. I'm just going to make sure. Any questions, guys, feel free to put them in the chat. Let me know if I'm going too fast or whatever. Hope it's mostly making sense for you. We've got some people watching on YouTube as well. That's cool. Let me get back into this. So when we eat something with oil in it, when we take in something with lots of dairy in it, with eggs in it, with lots of meat in it or whatever, the fat in that meal is immediately stored as body fat. That's what the body does with it. It immediately stores it as body fat. We know this now because we've been able to do studies where we've been able to track through incredible technology. We're able to track what happens to fat when we consume it in the body, and we see every single time it is immediately stored as body fat. That's what happens to it. So obviously then you would think, well, why isn't everyone gaining weight all the time? Because it still gets used up, but it gets used up if we don't eat enough calories. Well, that's kind of confusing me to say it, but it will be used up as part of the total calories that we need. So if we don't eat an excess of calories on top of that, if we don't eat enough calories on top of the fat, that's what I mean to say, then we will still use it. But the process is it gets stored as body fat and then it gets used as energy. That's the way it works. Carbohydrates are stored as glycogen. So if you eat an excess of fat, it gets stored as, well, not even an excess. When you eat fat, it gets stored as fat. That's the first thing that happens to it. Then, if over the course of the day or the week you have eaten a calorie excess, then that'll remain as fat. It'll just remain as fat. If you've not eaten enough, it gets used up over the course of the week. But carbohydrates is different. So if you've eaten an excess of carbohydrates, so let's say 2 different diets, where one of those diets you've eaten 3,000 calories of carbohydrates when you only needed 2,000 calories in total, and another diet in which you ate 2,000 calories of carbohydrates and 1,000 calories of fat, in which you only needed 2,000 calories. So if you imagine this, you only needed 2,000 calories in a day, and on the one day you ate 3,000 calories, but it was all carbohydrate-rich foods. Now, all whole foods have fat and protein as well in them, plant foods anyway. So it's not exactly 3,000 calories of carbohydrates, but I'm just using this to make it simplified. What will happen is the body obviously uses the 2,000 calories that it needs to use. The excess 1,000 calories, they get stored as glycogen. So any excess calories that are carbohydrates in a carbohydrate-rich diet get stored as glycogen. Glycogen is the way that animals store carbohydrates and fat and sugars. So when we eat an excess of carbohydrate, we store it as glycogen, which is essentially stored in the muscle tissue, so that when we go to use our muscle, we have the energy there to do that with the glycogen. If we eat a diet that is 2,000 calories of carbohydrates and 1,000 calories of fat, so it's the same thing there, the same situation, we've eaten a calorie excess of 1,000, then the 2,000 calories of carbohydrates will get used. The body will use carbohydrates in preference to fat. So if you are carrying excess body weight, excess fat, when you take in carbohydrates, the body will use those carbohydrates immediately in preference to using fat that you may have stored for weeks or months, that may be been on your body for a long time. Because the body finds it much easier to turn carbohydrate into a source of energy for us than it does using the fat. In some cases, carbohydrate can be used immediately, especially with simple sugars. And there's very little energy or effort the body has to put in to use that as energy. It just goes straight into the bloodstream. So the body preferentially will use carbohydrates and not fat. So in that situation, we've eaten 2,000 calories of carbohydrates, which the body uses as fuel, and 1,000 calories of excess of fat will get stored. It'll get stored as fat. It's as simple as that an excess of carbohydrate will almost entirely get stored as glycogen and used up. An excess of fat will be stored as body fat, which isn't a problem if you then over the course of the week you eat a little bit less and you use up the body fat. But if you continue to stay at a calorie If you maintain enough calories after that, you're going to just continue to store that body fat. So excess fat is always what the body stores as fat. And this is where there's a lot of confusing messages out there where people say it's the carbohydrates you eat that turn into fat. The sugar turns into fat. This is not true. It is the fat that you eat that is stored as fat. The foods that are high in fat, the animal products, the oils, the concentrated fats, the nut butters, these are the things that the body uses to store as fat, because it's harder for the body to turn those things into energy for us to use. So it preferentially uses carbohydrates. And I hope that that's simple enough to understand. I might try and go over that a little bit more. But essentially, the body's always going to store fat and use carbohydrate. Typically, if people are gaining a lot of weight, it's because they're eating both, not one or the other. They're eating a lot of carbohydrates and they're eating a lot of fat. But if you're eating like a big tub of ice cream, the body will use the sugar as energy and it will store the fat. That's exactly how everything's meant to be set up. Carbs are stored as glycogen and will be used in preference to using body fat as fuel. It will only be converted to fat if we eat an extremely high amount of carbohydrate over a long period of time. So that's a very important thing to understand, because some of you are probably asking yourself, well, what happens if you just eat a massive, or you just continue to eat an excess of carbohydrate over a long period of time? Well, you can gain weight, you can put on fat from eating an excess of carbohydrates. It's physically possible to do that. It is very unlikely that that is why you are putting on weight if you are. In order for the body to turn carbohydrates into fat, you have to be eating an extreme calorie excess over a very long period of time. But it is possible. It's possible. What I mean by this is, if you were to eat a diet that is just carbohydrate-rich foods, so you're just eating, maybe if it was a raw vegan diet, you're just eating bananas and fruits, sweet fruits like that. If it was a cooked diet, you're just eating pasta and rice and things like that. You can gain fat. You certainly can gain water weight, because if you've been starving yourself and then you eat a lot of carbohydrates, you're filling up your glycogen reserves and you're increasing water weight. So people that eat a lot of carbohydrates for the first time ever will put on water weight and think they're putting on weight, but it's mostly water weight. You can gain fat, but you have to be eating an extreme calorie excess over a long period of time. If you eat a calorie excess of carbohydrates over a period of 3 months and you're at an excess every single day, you might gain 1 pound of fat. That is literally the mathematics around this. So you can gain fat, but it's like 1 pound per 3 months if you're at a calorie excess of carbohydrates every single day. So if all you had to eat was carbohydrate-rich foods, or all you had to eat was sugar, for example, if you were just given sugar and enough of all the other vital nutrients, but your fuel source was just sugar, and you ate an excess of sugar every day, you would eventually put on fat, but it's a very small amount over a very long period of time. And it would be very difficult for you to eat that calorie excess consistently, because carbohydrate foods are very filling. Sugar in particular is the most filling of all foods, because it raises blood sugar almost instantaneously, which is a signal to the body to stop eating. So sugar is very hard to overeat on over a long period of time. But if you eat a lot of carbohydrates and you add some fat into that diet, and you do that over a long period of time, you're going to gain a lot of weight, because the body's just going to use the carbohydrates and store the fat. Use the carbohydrates, store the fat. Use the carbohydrates, store the fat. And if you continue to eat enough carbohydrates to use up to to satisfy your calorie needs, then your body will just never use the fat. It will just continue to store the fat. It won't get rid of it for no reason. It'll only get rid of the fat when you go into a deficit of total calories. So I hope that kind of makes sense, but it is a very simple thing to understand. The body is not getting fat because of excess carbohydrates. You're only ever putting on a significant amount of weight because of excess fat in the diet. And it might be that you're eating a small amount of fat, but you're eating so many carbohydrates that that small amount of fat is consistently being stored. So there was a period of time where there was a diet called Rotel 4, which a lot of people probably have heard of. And people were told on Rotel 4, you can eat as much carbohydrates as you like, and you'll lose weight. And in fact, if you're not losing weight, you need to eat more carbohydrates. And a lot of people gained a lot of weight doing that. And so why did they gain a lot of weight? Well, probably because they weren't eating the carbohydrate diet that they thought they were eating. Because I was watching some people that were doing this, and they would have this massive bowl of rice or pasta or whatever, and they would eat this, but they would add in a sauce that they bought in the supermarket. And then if you look at what the sauce has in it, it's full of oil. And these people were putting on a tremendous amount of weight. That's a fantastic way to put on weight. Eat as much carbohydrates as you like and add loads of oil to it, and you'll put on a lot of weight. If they had literally stuck to bananas, and fruits, and the other food that people think is high in carbohydrates is bread. But bread often has a lot of oil in it as well. So bread is a food that a lot of people will gain weight with because it has oil in it. Pasta sauces have oil in them. People were eating all this vegan junk food. It's all got oil in it. So of course they were going to put on a lot of weight. But if they had stuck to a very, very restricted diet of just carbohydrates, no other fat sources, they wouldn't have gained the weight. It would just not have been possible. So this is an interesting point when it comes to being honest about what exactly your diet is. And a lot of people have issues when it comes to weight gain and weight loss and stuff, because they're not really honest with themselves about what they're eating. So they get confused as to why they're gaining weight or losing weight. This is a really big problem. And the issue is that it's very hard for us to be accurate about how much we're eating. It's very hard to judge that, actually. And people misinterpret all the time. I've been speaking to different people and they tell me, someone was telling me they ate a melon and it had 400 calories in a melon. And I just knew that couldn't be the case. It couldn't be that high in calories. Instinctively, I knew that. And I worked out they must have been weighing it wrong or something was wrong with it. Not sure exactly, but we often misinterpret our diet and the things that we eat and how much we eat. And if your diet looks like it's a lot of carbohydrates, then that's what you think it is, even if you're adding in the sauce that is where all your fat's coming from. So we can get confused. And this confusion is what we're trying to get rid of today with this webinar. So if any of this is confusing, please ask questions and I'll go over it again. But the recipe for gaining weight is definitely eating a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of fat. That's the recipe for gaining weight. To lose weight, we must stick to a diet that is predominated by carbohydrate-rich foods, which are lower in calories and will not be stored as body fat easily. And we must restrict the amount of highly fatty foods that we eat. That is the recipe for not gaining weight. Is a carbohydrate-rich diet with very little, and you can basically make it no fat, with no fat. If we want to gain weight, we must be eating foods that are high in fat on top of eating foods that are high in carbohydrates. So that's what the Western diet is, something like 60% carbohydrates, 30% fat, 10% protein. That's the kind of ratio that will make you put on a lot of weight. That's why the Western diet's so good at it. But if you look at other parts of the world where people aren't putting on weight, including the blue zones are uh, the areas of the world that have been judged to have the best health and have the longest longevity. Their diets were all high carbohydrate diets. Now, I'm using the phrase high carbohydrate. I only mean high in proportion to the average diet. It is actually the correct amount of carbohydrate. It's the correct amount of carbohydrate. It's the healthy amount of carbohydrate. It's the best amount of carbohydrate. It's not high carbohydrate. It's a healthy amount. We have a need for carbohydrates, actually, to be optimally healthy. So these places in the world, their diets were always 75% carbohydrates plus, and there was very limited amount of highly fatty foods, and that's why they were healthier, because that is the healthy ratio for human beings. A quick note on the ketogenic diet or the primal diet, the paleo diet. So you might be thinking, but isn't it true that you can lose weight by giving up on carbohydrates completely and eating only fat? That is also an option. And it is true, if you eat a diet that is purely fat or fatty foods, you will lose weight. You will lose weight, inevitably. But the question is, how long are you going to be able to sustain it? And is it healthy? And the first thing is that people get a very rapid loss of weight when they do a high fat diet, like a ketogenic diet. People get a very fast weight loss. The reason they get a fast weight loss is because they are depleting their glycogen stores. And when you deplete your glycogen stores, essentially your energy, how your body stores carbohydrate in the body, when you deplete those stores by just eating fat, you lose the water. Your body lets go of the water that it stores to help process the glycogen. So when you get rid of glycogen, you get rid of all this water, and you can lose as much as 10 pounds in a week. And every diet that is a rapid weight loss diet, that's exactly what it is. That is what it is. It's a rapid weight loss because you're losing water weight, and you will not see the same weight loss the next week or the week after. If we want to lose if we want to lose weight effectively over time, the only way to do that is to continue to lose body fat. And that doesn't happen very quickly, unfortunately. So when we want to lose weight, we must set our expectations to know that it takes time to lose body fat. And that is the frustrating part about it for most people, is they want it to be quicker, but it's impossible for it to be quick, unfortunately. And if we think about the situation in which we would lose weight the quickest, would be if we ate no food. So imagine you go for a week and you eat no food. So you eat absolutely no food. So over the course of that week, what would tend to happen is, because you're not eating, you're not going to be active, and you might end up lying down doing absolutely nothing. So this is what fasting is, when people fast. And when you fast, the amount of calories you use will go down. So every day we have what's called our BMR, basal metabolic rate, which is the number of calories you would use just to stay alive. If you were doing no activity at all and you lie in bed all day with your eyes closed, how many calories do you use a day? And for most people, it's between 1,000 and 1,500. Probably for bigger people, it might get up even to 2,000. But let's say you need 1,000 calories a day just to exist, just to survive. So when you stop eating, you'll go down to maybe only 1,000 calories, maybe up to 1,500 calories a day. Over the course of 1 week, you therefore need 7,000 calories to stay alive. Just to stay alive, you need 7,000 calories. So you're going to lose weight to the tune of 7,000 calories worth of weight which is 2 pounds of fat. I don't know if that's surprising to you, but a calorie deficit of 7,000 calories is 2 pounds of fat. 1 pound of fat has 3,500 calories in it. 1 pound of fat has 3,500 calories. So if you eat nothing, of course you're going to lose all the water weight, so you'll lose more weight than 2 pounds, but the amount of fat you'll lose will probably be only about 2, maybe 3 pounds of fat. Let's say you needed 1,500 calories multiplied by 7, so that's 10,500. So if you needed 1,500 calories every day and you were not eating, over the course of a week, you would have to take in 10,500 calories from somewhere. So you're obviously getting it from your body fat. That would equate to 3 pounds in a week of fat. So we need to set our expectations that if we're going to lose weight healthfully, then it's going to come in 1, 2, 3 pounds a week maximum. It's not going to come in 10 pounds a week. It's just not possible. It's going to be 1 or 2 pounds a week. So what we need to do is figure out a diet and a way to live where we can be healthfully losing 1 or 2 pounds a week over a long period of time. That's how we will get weight loss goals. We have to think of it as a long-term project. We have to think about creating a lifestyle that predictably and consistently allows you to lose 1 or 2 pounds of weight every single week. Over the course of a year, you'll lose 100 pounds. That's how it would work. So that's realistic weight loss. So how does all this apply to a raw vegan diet? Why is a raw vegan diet good for weight loss? Why might it be a struggle for some people to gain weight on the raw vegan diet? So a lot of people over the years have said when they go on a raw vegan diet, they uncontrollably lose weight. And for some people, that's great because they're looking to lose a lot of weight. For some people, that's not so good because they've not got a lot of weight to lose. But we've had all these stories. But over the last few years, we've had stories as well of people saying, I'm gaining weight on a raw diet. I'm starting to eat this raw vegan diet and I'm gaining a lot of weight. But people tend to lose weight on raw. Why is this? It's usually because people eat too few calories at first. So what happens is raw foods, fruits and vegetables are much less dense in calories than cooked food and much less dense in calories than animal products. And the reason for that is that they are mostly water and they have a lot of fiber. So fruits and vegetables have a lot of water in them, have a lot of fiber. Water and fiber have no calories. So when we look, if we compare a bowl of fruit to a bowl of cooked food or a bowl of animal products, the fruit will always have much less calories, even if it's the sweetest fruit that is possible to eat. The only exception would be a highly fatty food like avocados, which might actually have more calories. But if it's sweet fruit, it's always going to have less. And when we switch from eating cooked food to raw food, we are still kind of conditioned to eat the same volume of food. So we might think about eating a plate of food as a meal. So if we eat a plate of fruit, and that's our meal, and we do that for every meal, then we're going to lose weight because we're not going to eat enough fruit to get enough calories. So we're going to be easily in a calorie deficit if we do that. So many people do that, they eat far too little. And it's the same thing, the same reason why people fail on a raw vegan diet. They fail on a raw vegan diet because they don't learn to eat enough. So the reason that a lot of people lose weight on a raw diet is that the food is less dense in calories, and that can lead to people eating too little. Some people can gain weight if they are eating enough, but they have to be eating fat at the same time. I'll go into my own experience of this in a moment. But people, you can gain weight on raw, but you must be eating a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of fat, similar to a cooked diet. And it's very unlikely that you're putting on weight due to fruit alone. So a lot of people, people go on a raw vegan diet, they get told you need to eat a lot of fruit. And some people don't like this because they're worried they're going to put on weight because they don't realize that that's not going to happen. And they start to blame the fruit if they start to put on weight. And it's never really the fruit. It's never the fruit that's the issue. Okay, give me a second. For you to be eating enough fruit to actually gain weight, if you were just eating fruit and no avocados, no nuts, seeds, no anything else, you'd have to be eating a tremendous excess of fruit. That is so impossible that you don't even realize how difficult that is. To eat an excess of fruit for a very long period of time, very, very, very hard. Fruit is the most satisfying food you can eat because it is dense in volume, so it fills your stomach quickly, but it is also has an easy source, a quick source of simple sugars for the body to get access to. So when we get that bloodstream rise, most people take that as a signal to stop eating. One of the things about going on a raw vegan diet, you need to learn that the fact that your blood sugar's risen a little bit doesn't mean that you've eaten enough. It just means that you've kind of satisfied that your body's quick need for some sugar. The way we've been conditioned to eat in the cooked diet is you eat all this carb or fat foods, and then you have a sweet at the end of the meal. And Dr. Doug Graham always says, if you're craving sweet at the end of the meal, it's because you didn't have enough sweet during the meal. And the idea behind that is really that what our body is actually looking for is sugar. Our body is looking for sugar, simple sugar, from fruit. And that's what we are adapted and designed for. That is what we are looking for when we lived in the forest or what have you, in the jungles. That was what we were looking for. We were tasting food to see if it was sweet because sweet indicated that that is food for humans. So fruits are the food that we are best adapted to eat. It is very, very hard to overeat on fruit. If you're gaining weight on a raw diet, it is much more likely that you're including in the diet, along with fruit and vegetables and other things, you're eating overt fats, which can be things like avocados, of course, which are a fruit, but are more likely to be things like nuts, seeds, nut butters, oil, tahini, and a number of products like that. And I'll go into my experience now. So when I started off on a raw vegan diet in 2011, which is about 8 years ago now. So I started off and I went raw. Well, I started off just kind of going back and forth from cooked food to raw, but eventually I committed to raw. And I just really like to eat fruit. And I didn't really like vegetables. And I didn't really know how to eat salad and stuff like that. Growing up in Scotland, I wasn't really used to eating salad or whatever. So I just ate fruit mostly. And whenever I felt hungry, the way that I was thinking about it is even if I wanted something fatty or even if I wanted something salty, I just took that as my body was wanting more fruit. That's the way that I looked at it. So I just ate loads of fruit, a little bit of vegetables now and again, and a little bit of nuts and seeds now and again, but mostly fruit. And I lost a lot of weight. And I went down to my lowest weight doing that over the course of about a year, probably a year or a little bit more. And I didn't really think I was fat when I started, but I definitely had a lot of weight to lose, which was kind of interesting. And I went down to about 10 stone. It was probably my lowest weight. I went about 10 stone, which is 140 pounds. And that was my lowest weight. And from there, over the course of the years, I actually went to my highest weight on raw, which was about 14 stone, which is close to 200 pounds. I'm just going to calculate that out right now. Yeah, 14 stone 399 pounds. So on a raw diet, I had gained nearly 60 pounds. So I'd lost weight at first to go to my lowest weight, and I gained weight later on to go to my highest weight. So how did that happen? Actually, there's a little bit more to that story, but so what happened was I had lost all the weight, and one day I was driving back from an event that I'd created called Fruit Camp, and everyone was eating fruit and everything. And I stopped in at Marks and Spencer's on the motorway, and there was pistachio nuts. And I thought, wow, I'm not eating pistachios in a long time. And I bought the packet, and on the drive home, I could not stop myself from eating all of these nuts. So I was like voraciously eating these nuts. And I kind of just like a lot of things, you just experience things like that, and you just think about it and reflect on it. I just thought, okay. And I wanted to eat more nuts. So I started to eat nuts more regularly, but it was out of control. It was like I was eating pistachios all the time. And I would eat a bag of pistachios nearly every day, which is like 1,000 calories. Well, a bag of pistachios like that is about 1,000 calories. And you can eat that pretty quick. Might even be more than 1,000 calories. It's a lot of calories of pistachios. So I was eating a lot of fruit, but I was also eating all these pistachios. And I started to gain weight. I didn't really notice it at first, didn't notice it that much. But I would just see something, just notice my arm was a bit different looking or whatever. And I thought, oh, I'm gaining weight. So I was doing that, and I did gain weight. And I probably gained maybe a stone at least. So that would have taken me up to 11 stone. And I'm trying to think if I would have went up to even 12 stone doing that. Because what happened, the thing that really put on even more weight, because I was eating nuts and stuff, but I wanted to stop doing that. I'd been to someone's house who was raw vegan, and they would use peas to make soup. So they would put frozen peas. If they didn't have fresh peas, they would just use frozen peas, put it in a blender, blend it up with other stuff, and they would make a pea soup. And I'd never used peas. I'd never used peas or sweet corn on a raw vegan diet because I never really thought they were raw. But I just thought to myself, okay, maybe I'll try and eat some of these now and again. And once again, I just couldn't stop eating them. I've got a real addictive, I guess, personality when it comes to food. So started to eat peas and basically started eating them every single night. I would get a packet of peas, defrost them all, and eat them, essentially. So I started to experiment. I would put like different tomato type sauce on it and stuff like that. And but then what I started to do was I started to add tahini to the sauce. So I would have tahini and tomato, blend those two together. Tahini and tomato is a fantastic combination. But I would start putting more and more tahini into it. And tahini is very, very concentrated. Basically, it's like oil. Tahini is made from sesame seeds, I believe, ground up. It's like a butter, basically. And I was just putting loads of this on, and I was eating loads of this stuff. And I was doing that every day for a long time. And that definitely made me put on weight. And that's when I started to feel, and I was still eating a lot of fruit as well. I really started to feel that I was putting on weight because my legs started to rub together. And that's when you really know you're putting on weight, when your clothes stop fitting properly, and your legs, the inside of your thighs are rubbing together. You really notice things like that, because I didn't really think I was gaining weight. I didn't really think about it. So that was like a real problem. That was a concern. And I knew immediately it's because of all the tahini that I was eating. And I remember a friend one time said something like, said something about how come you've got a belly when you're on a vegetarian diet or something, you know, because he just thought I was vegetarian. He's, and I didn't realize I'd put on that much weight that other people could see it. So that was kind of a concern. So I started to change and I got rid of those things from my diet. And but then I went through a phase where I went back onto cooked food, and that made me put on even more weight. So that's actually why I got up to the 14 stone, is because of the cooked food as well. And that was things like bread and hummus and stuff like that. So I did that for about a 6 month period and put on a lot of weight again. So I realized I had to make a change. I cut all the cooked food out again, and I went back to raw. And over the course of last year, my diet was basically fruit, lettuce, greens, avocados, and that was basically it. And I just thought, if I go back to raw, I'll lose all the weight. And I did lose weight on raw, but but slowly. So over last year, without trying to lose weight, just by sticking to a raw diet, I lost over a stone. I can't remember the exact amount, maybe 18 pounds or something like that. So that was without trying to lose weight, just because I went raw. And inevitably, when you go raw, you're generally eating less. What I'm now doing is I'm now experimenting with eating no avocados. So I'm just eating fruits and lettuce. That's all I'm eating right now. It's fruit and lettuce. No nuts, no seeds. And the only reason I'm doing that is purely to lose a little bit more weight. That's it. I'd be happy to include all these other foods in, like a little bit of nuts and seeds occasionally and stuff like that. I'd be happy to do that if I wasn't. If my goal right now wasn't to lose, another maybe 10 or 14 pounds or something like that. But as that's my goal, I'm totally cutting out all the foods that are high in fat, including avocados. And what I'm finding really interesting at the moment, though, is even without all those fats, I am maintaining weight. I'm maintaining weight at the moment. So this is an important point. If you want to lose weight, or if you want to gain weight, the first thing you need to learn is to maintain weight before anything else. So if you're rapidly losing weight or rapidly gaining weight, you need to get to a point where you're staying stable. You need to get to a lifestyle, a diet where you are maintaining weight at the same level. Once you've learned how to do that, then you can start adjusting it to eat more or less to lose or gain weight appropriately. So maintaining weight, learning to maintain weight is important. And if you eat a diet where you're cutting out all the high amounts of fat, you're most likely to just maintain weight. For you then to lose weight, you need to go to a calorie deficit. And it doesn't have to be a massive deficit, because if you stay on it over time, you will lose weight over time. And it's much easier on a raw diet because foods like fruit we are designed to monitor the amount of fruit that we eat. The other foods that we're eating we're not adapted to. So it's easy for us to overeat on oil because we don't have sensory safeguards in our body saying stop eating oil, because our body isn't really adapted to eating oil. So most people only respond to their stomach being full. That's why they stop eating. Their stomach's full. But that doesn't mean they've got enough nutrition. It doesn't mean that their body's satisfied or anything else. So what they tend to do is once their body's full, they don't want to eat anymore, but then they'll have something with sugar in it because the body's still looking for sugar. And this is why everyone's putting on so much weight. So that's really my journey with weight loss. If there's any questions, that would be fantastic. If anyone has any questions at all. And if not, I will, let's see. I'll talk a little bit about coaching. So if anyone's looking for help with going on a raw vegan diet or with coaching, I'll go over a little bit about what I offer, in case what's interesting to you. So thank you very much for joining me today. If you're not interested in hearing anything about coaching, then you can leave now or forever hold your peace, whatever. I'd like some feedback on the webinar. If you've not understood any of it, if none of it made sense, it's probably going to be up on YouTube so you can watch it again. So basically, when it comes to coaching, it's all about helping a person to change the habits. That's what I'm really doing. Once you've changed your habits, that's what will change your life. Because the reason that people don't make changes and don't get the goals that they want is because they are set into habits and a lifestyle that doesn't move them towards those goals. But it's tremendously hard to change your habits. The reason that it's hard to change your habits is because we are, as an animal, as a species, we have an inbuilt system stopping us from changing habits. The reason for that is that so far your habits have been very successful, comparatively, because you're still alive and, well, you're alive. And that enough shows that your habits have been working for you. So why change? The other thing is that changing habits could have been dangerous for humans in early society because we had to live in a group. So if we changed, that could threaten our position in the group. So we have an internal system that makes us stick to the habits that we have, and that makes it very difficult for us to change. The amount of people that try to change their diet and fail is huge. We all know that people make attempts to change and end up going right back. Why is that? 95% of people fail to commit to a diet they try. And 8%, only about 8% of people stick to New Year's resolutions. It's a massive failure rate. So why do people fail? It's because often they don't have the right information. They fall into traps and mistakes they didn't see coming, or they had experiences and challenges that they could not find a solution for. On top of this, they didn't have someone to show them a clear path and help guide them and motivate them to keep going. They are surrounded by temptation. Change takes time, and a person must be realistic with their goals. They're surrounded by temptation. The world is full of food. Almost every place we go provides food. It's easy to lose motivation. They didn't have someone showing them a clear path to guide and motivate them. Change takes time. People must be realistic with their goals and the time it takes to achieve them. Another reason we fail is we forget why we're making a change. You might you've not set down clearly why you want to change your habits and the consequences to you of not changing those habits. And as I was saying before, we've evolved to resist changing habits. And that's what makes it especially hard. And we're demotivated by seeing examples of other people that seem to be doing well on other diets or without even doing diets. So you might be frustrated by your co-workers, colleagues, family members that seem to eat really badly and they never gain weight. And that kind of demotivates you from making a change as well. On top of all this, friends, family members, colleagues are far from supportive. You have probably had people laugh at you, mock you, whatever, for trying to change your diet, which isn't very nice, but that's what happens. And that stops us from making changes. Their own lack of support is just fear. They're worried about you. They're not actually trying to, make you fail, but they're just worried about you. And getting someone to coach you will help with all these things. These are the major reasons that people fail. And having a coach will help you, providing you with the knowledge you need, providing you with the direction, with the advice, with the support, and with the continuing motivation to stay true to your goals. Why is it so hard for us to make a change? I'll go on to the next section. So a lot of people never try coaching, never really see the value of it. Why is this? So firstly, people don't know the danger they put themselves in when they follow the wrong diet and lifestyle. And I do mean danger. So the diet that's become prevalent in our modern world, it leads to disease that kills people. But it also leads to a lifestyle that gradually saps away your joy, your motivation, your function, gives you pain, gives you all sorts of symptoms. So many people don't realize that potentially they have a potential inside them for greater energy, for greater fitness, for getting rid of aches and pains, for genuinely adding years onto their life and feeling a lot younger. And that is through changing your lifestyle. And weight loss is obviously another big part of it. We've been speaking about weight loss tonight. Walking around with extra weight, literally and figuratively, brings you down. It increases your risk of all sorts of problems, but it also has an effect on people's self-esteem, on how they view themselves. People are judged for putting on weight, whether that's fair or not. People are looked at for being lazy, stupid, out of control. If you put on weight, selfish, greedy. They see it as your fault. If you're struggling with your weight, they see it as something that you're in control of. And in reality, you've just been conditioned with poor habits from probably a young age that you're struggling to change. People have genuinely addictive behavior around food. They literally feel powerless around certain foods and can't stop themselves from eating them. So with all that, coaching can help. And it's taken me a long time to offer coaching. I've seen many people start coaching very soon after they went raw vegan. I never really felt right about doing that. So I've not, even though I've had the knowledge to help people for years, I've not really went out to do it because I really wanted to fully understand this diet and lifestyle. So I've been very cautious. But I continue to research myself. I've been all over the world researching this diet and learning about it and meeting hundreds of people that have done it. So now I feel very confident that I can help anyone and answer every single question. The reason that people fail is not a lack of knowledge, though. It's the lack of implementation. So out there, you might think to yourself, well, there's lots of information. There's not really any need for coaching because there's books and there's videos and there's, a lot of free information. You can download a lot of books for free, whether illegally or not. You can get a lot of information, blog posts and everything. But what a coach can really do is really save you time in getting that information and getting all that information together and really helping you to clarify it because it takes a long time to learn and fully understand it. So a little bit about myself. My name's Ronnie Smith. For the last 5 years, I've been running the UK Fruit Fest, one of the most successful raw vegan festivals in the world. I've always been on a health conscious path, never smoked cigarettes, never taken drugs, never drank alcohol apart from a couple of times. And I've always been interested in improving my health and changing my lifestyle to try and make a difference. I began to experiment when I was about 22, 23 years old. In fact, before that, when I was 18, 19, I was trying to cut sugar out of my diet because I thought it was a problem. But I didn't really achieve that till I was in my early 20s. I gave up caffeine as well. I later transitioned toward a vegetarian diet and then went vegan. And when I was going vegan, I started to learn about the raw vegan diet. So each one of these changes made a huge difference to my life and how I felt. And it changed really everything about me. When I heard about the raw vegan diet, it just completely made sense. I started to experiment with it straight away. I had no idea what I was doing. I became obsessed with learning about the raw vegan lifestyle. And I would watch hundreds of hours of videos, speakers, teachers. I ended up traveling to 5 different countries, spanning 3 continents to attend, I think about 20 events to learn about this lifestyle and really be face to face with all the teachers and leaders and the people that have done it long term. In those years, I've acquired a lifetime of experience. I truly believe I have many essential bits of information and knowledge that will help people to transition to this lifestyle in the quickest and most effective way. And I probably spent £15,000 worth traveling to all these things, paying for all these events. And I wasn't doing that because I was a rich person, but it was something I was passionate about. It was the thing that I wanted to spend my money on and time on. So I absolutely loved the whole community and I loved to learn about it. So the coaching I do is not free. And you might ask why I don't do it for free. And maybe I could reach more people if I did it for free. The truth is that I do offer a lot of free advice, and I've got over 500 videos online that you can check out. I've also got a free book that you can get. So I give out a lot of information for free. But the people that are really looking to make a change, or the people that come to me that ask a lot of questions, sometimes they're not really serious about it. They're just curiosity seekers. And I find it a little bit of a waste of time to speak to people or help people for a long time that they aren't really serious about making a change. So I do coaching and I ask to be paid for it, so that I make sure really that the only people that come to me are the people that are serious and actually value what we're doing and value the whole process. Secondly, people tend to only value things they pay for and take things seriously if they pay for it. And because it is quite a difficult thing to stick to a diet and make that change, at first it becomes easy, but at first there's a high failure rate. It's better if a person is invested in it financially, because if they've got something to lose then, in a sense. And it also means that I have something to lose, because if I don't get a result for you, I won't be paid. That's the way that my coaching works. So I have to get a result for you or I won't get paid. That's how it works. And it makes it's the most successful way of doing it. It means that both of us are invested in it, whether we like to think about it that way or not. But people don't tend to value things they're not paying for, and they end up not really following it, not really sticking for it, not making the meetings and things like that. But is it worth paying for coaching? Why pay for advice when there is an abundance of free information? It's not about information, though. We're drowning in information. What we need is clarity, we need direction, we need answers right now. So do you really have 5, 10, 15 years to learn all of this information yourself, piece it all together? 5 years of constant failure, embarrassment, guilt, unhappiness, whatever that comes along with trying to do this, and people are laughing at you and you're getting it wrong and all that kind of stuff. Isn't there many other things you'd rather do with your time? And let's say you pay yourself a minimum wage of £7.83 per hour in the UK. If you spend just one day or 1 hour trying to research this information over the course of a year, over the course of the next 5 years, that would equate to £14,289.75 worth of your time. So if you value your time, that's how much time you'd be spending if you take the next 5 years to just research this yourself. Let's say you've been paid the average wage of the UK, which is £13.80 an hour. Then you'd be losing over the 5 years, or you'd be spending £25,185 just looking for the right answers. For a lot of people, that figure is a lot more. So consider how much time it will take you to learn this, and consider how a lot of the information out there is incorrect. A lot of the people out there are not living on this type of lifestyle. So they're putting out a lot of information that's incorrect, and it's going to lead you in the wrong direction, causing you even more time, wasting your valuable time. So the value of coaching continues for years or decades, even after an entire lifetime, after you finish the experience, because it saves you all that time, it puts you on the right path, and it sets up the right habits that you can establish for the rest of your life. It will continue to work for you. That's why coaching is a valuable experience. So what is the value of having the best health? Why would you try and get healthy? What's the value of it? What's the value of being healthy? So we look at it like this. If you imagine, or what's the value to you of being healthy? It's more interesting. If you imagine there's a magic donation box, and every single day, it's guaranteed you put a little bit of money into that donation box and you'll stay completely healthy. You'll never have to do anything. You'll just always be completely healthy, full of energy, feeling great, feeling passionate about life, looking fantastic, looking young and youthful and vibrant. What would you contribute into that box? 1 penny a day, £1 a day, £5. If you were told that it gave you a better result, the more money you put in, what would you be willing to put into that box? What would be your daily contribution? This starts to get an idea of what the value is to you of perfect health. Let's say you were only willing to put in £1 a day. Obviously, that's £365 over a year. Over 40 years of your life, that's like investing £14,600 to maintain your health and happiness. You might say to yourself, well, who would do that? But the truth is, people put a lot more than £1 a day into being healthy. People eat foods that are more expensive or that they think are more healthy, not always more healthy, but they think are. So they eat more expensive foods. Gym membership, personal trainer. People get all sorts of plastic surgeries to make them look younger. People go to clinics around the world to get blood transfusions and God knows what else. Stuff put into their face to make their face look younger. However many thousands of pounds people pay over the years for their hair to look better and fuller and thicker. The value of your health is massive. And if you add it all up, the actual amount that people are putting into that donation box every day, every month, could be hundreds of pounds a month. Hundreds of pounds a month people are spending to try and look good, to try and have energy, to try and be thin, try and be all these things. And in reality, what a lot of people are missing out on is the foundation of having the healthiest diet possible that will take care of all of this, that you don't have to, that is very, very cheap in comparison. So if it was £5 a day you're willing to put in, it'd be £70,000 over the course of a lifetime. So that's just an idea, but in reality, our health, our youthfulness, our vitality are worth so much more, and people spend so much more money. Vitamins, supplements, superfoods, going on different retreats and lifestyle programs and all sorts of things. People buy expensive organic foods, get some organic box from a local farmer or something, spend more money on that than they would. So people are spending tremendous amounts of money on their health and maintaining their youth and vitality. Obviously, for different people, the value of the health is worth more, but some people have said, your health is your greatest wealth, and many people have said that when they lose their health, they would give up everything to get it back. So for some people, their health is worth a tremendous amount, more than it is for others. So what generally do health coaches charge for their services? Here's some examples of what other coaches are charging. So I can show you a page. Let me see if I can share this page with you. Share this page, give me a second. Share page. Share screen. Share screen. There we go. So this is an example of what other coaches are charging. Let me see. So we've got $234 for a 1 hour consultation. $234, around about £200 at the moment for an hour. We've got someone here, $150 per hour. These are all, I guess, American. This one is $60 for 1 hour. We've got one here that is $250. I think that's for 2 hours. And then we've got $100 for 60 minutes, 15 minutes for $25. So a lot of coaches are doing this hourly charging. And 1 hour personal session, they're offering a 1 hour session for £125, £200, quite a lot of money. And I've heard of coaches even charging stuff like $50,000 a month. Like, that's kind of pie in the sky, but there is situations like that. So just to show you all that, stop the share. Good, back. Just to show you that. But realistically, most coaches seem to be charging about £45 to £120, £150 an hour for their time, answering one-on-one questions. But I don't really like the structure of that. If you were to do 10 or 20 sessions with them, that would be equal to about £400 to £1,200. If you were to keep on booking them every week, because you were still having issues, you could end up spending over £3,000 in the course of a year. In fact, if that was just every 2 weeks, you could spend over £3,000. If you were doing weekly sessions, you could end up spending over £6,000. It would just rack up if you kept on buying sessions with them. And it could be worth it if you get the results. But for many people, it turns into a bit of a talking session. That's been my experience of being involved in these things. Sometimes the subject wanders off. You easily lose focus. The session is no longer what it's supposed to be. And you really don't get the value out of that call. Meanwhile, the coach is probably someone that's often lying in the sun in Thailand, happy in the knowledge that your coaching money is paying for another few months of rent for them to blissfully do nothing. An easy life, great for them, but not so good for you. So I had friends that when they got into this lifestyle, they went to live in Thailand and they immediately started to try and be coaches. And one guy was telling us, oh, it's easy to do coaching and no one ever, people just want someone to talk to. So they weren't really doing it properly. They were just doing it because they knew that they could make some money from it. And that's one of the reasons as well I didn't really get into doing this, because I didn't like that way. I don't think that's an effective way of doing it. I don't think a 1 hour session is what you're going to need for most of you. I think you're going to need ongoing support and knowledge to actually get a difference. So that's why I've decided to structure my coaching a bit differently. I've created a program that combines consultation and ongoing daily coaching with a strong aspect of measuring and monitoring results to create accountability. We'll work together on a daily basis on creating specific actions you can take that will help you lead towards your goals. Results will be measured by yourself and monitored by both of us to ensure that the best chance of reaching your goals is met. And we can adjust those actions on a daily basis to make sure you're on the right track. Materials will be provided to give you information to refer to and study. So I want to make sure you get the results you're looking for. Of course, this is in part because I want to help you, but also if I can help you, then it means that I'll get other clients. So I want to make sure that we get the results that you want. And the reason I'm doing this is really because I want to get my information out there and my advice, because I'm starting to see more and more people giving bad advice and confusing information. And that's a real problem in this movement, is bad information, confusing information. People never quite learn how to get the benefits out of this lifestyle. And it's a struggle. So I want to get good information out there. So what support do I offer? I offer consultation on changing to a raw vegan diet and succeeding long term. I offer support on overcoming food addictions that are causing you problems, and I offer support on weight loss, helping you overcome all challenges to losing weight. There are some people that I can't help. I can't help you if you're seeking medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I can't help you if you're looking for a magic or a miracle cure. I'm not a miracle worker. I can't help you if you're looking to fast. I'm not a fasting practitioner. I can't help you if you're from an eating disorder situation. I'm not a counsellor. I don't have experience in eating disorders and mental issues, which I see eating disorders really as being mental issues. I'm not a fitness person. I can help with that to a degree, but I am not a specifically a fitness trainer. If you're looking to juice cleanse, juice fast, master cleanse, these are all short-term things for me that don't work long-term, don't give you the value that you want. So I don't do them. And if you're looking for a quick fix, I'm not for you. If you're looking for a one-off session, I'm also not for you. My coaching program offers two parts, consultation and ongoing coaching. The consultation process allows us to work together to find out where you are, where you want to go, the knowledge that you need, and from that, materials will be provided to you, and we will study those materials together over time. The second part is ongoing coaching. That is where on an ongoing basis, further information is provided, usually on a weekly basis through a phone call, usually, or Skype call if you prefer. That's where we will speak about what you've done over the week. What we will do is set your objectives, your goals. We will then create together the actions that you're willing to take on a daily basis. And then every day you will be monitoring those actions, and I'll be able to look at that as well. And then every week we can readjust those actions to get further progress. Or we can discuss why you're struggling to take those actions, which is sometimes the case as well. The second part is ongoing coaching, which can be all sorts of advice on simple things like how to shop, how to pick the best fruits, when and how much to eat, just all the simple things. And I can give you recommendations of where to go if you're experiencing if you do require any further medical help or advice or whatever. But that's not what I specifically do. Before any commitment is made, we'll have a call to go over a questionnaire to see if you're right for this and see if I'm right for you. And only then would we go ahead with it. As I said, there's a lot of people that I can't help or won't help. And that would just be a quick 15-minute chat, no obligation to sign up, but we can see if it's right for you. After that, we would set up a fairly long session, a 1 hour, 30-minute session, to go over in detail your lifestyle, your history, what you're looking to do, what you're looking to achieve with your health goals. We'll go through a multiple choice question with different to see where you want to go, and we'll set up achievable goals and targets that will be specific and measurable. And we'll set up I'll set up for you a place where you can put down your actions, what you've eaten that day, how you felt that day, different things that we'll measure depending on what you want. And then we'll discuss those. What does ongoing coaching involve? Once we've created a very clear roadmap to your success, we'll track your performance every day. I'll help you monitor that progress. Each week we'll do another 1 hour meeting to go over how the week went. At the end of each month, there'll be a 90-minute session to make any readjustments that must be made. Along with the consultation process and the ongoing support, you have access to me every day. So if you want to send me a message by email or text, if you've got further questions, you'll get them answered every single day. Along with all that, you get a full recipe plan of recipes that will fit in line with your tastes and desires. You get information on nutritional content of almost all raw foods. This will be provided to you in the materials I'll be giving you, some books, a day plan guide with specific guide on what to eat, a guide to buying fruit and other raw foods, a recommended reading guide for books, websites, and things you should look at for further support, although I'll be providing you with a lot of those as part of the program. Over 200 recipes to help you find inspiration. So that all comes along with the program. Other added bonuses, you get access to all of the videos on the private videos on the UK Fruit Fest website. So we have over 50 hours of lectures on the raw vegan lifestyle, and that are taking place at our festival. A 1 year access to that is a value of £228. You'd be getting that as part of the program. You'll also get videos of interviews I've given with raw vegan leaders. You'll also get 20 or so videos that I've made specifically about going raw. You can get a 25% discount to any UK Fruit Fest event if you're looking to come to the UK Fruit Fest. that could be a 25% discount, depending on the ticket you buy, could be as much as £600 of a discount. And books and materials are provided as part of the programme with a value of about £65. So there's a lot of added value and extra value in there. And for my next 3 clients, I'm going to do something special. So if you are looking to sign up and interested, and you want to be one of my next 3, I'm going to do a couple of special things. There's a couple of programs and books I want to buy for you additionally as part of the program. One is the Perfect Health Program, created by Dr. Doug Graham, Frederick Patenaude, which is one of the best audio programs. That's a value of £75. You'll get that as part of it. You'll be getting a number of different books as part of the program. The 80-10-10 Diet, which is an essential book, the Raw Food Nutrition Handbook from Dr. Rick Dina Carandina, and the Fully Raw Diet by Christina. You'll get all these books as part of it. And on top of that, there's basically 3 other books of your choice you'll get as part of that. And the next 3 people to sign up will get a good discount as well. I'll talk about that in a moment. So the options that I have for coaching, the shortest period of time that I do is a 90-day coaching program. And that 90-day coaching program is called the Rapid Success Program for 90 days or 3 months. And what that consists of is the initial 90-minute consultation, the weekly 1-hour consultation, daily access via text, email, or Facebook or WhatsApp, ongoing coaching and support every week, all of the additional materials that I mentioned. And the price for that program is going up to £1,995. But at the moment, for the next 3 clients, it will just be £1,750. So my prices are going to go up after the new year, but I've kind of delayed doing that. So the price of the 90-day program, £1,750. And alternatively, you can pay that in 3 installments of £595. So that includes the 3 months of daily coaching and training. It includes all of the materials that I mentioned, all the recipe books, all of the raw vegan science and information books, and the Perfect Health Program on top of that. So it's an incredible amount of value for £1,750. And then I've got the Gentle Transition Program. I don't know why I called them these names, but anyway, Gentle Transition. More realistically, it'll probably take you 6 months if you want to do it right. So this program's 180 days or 6 months. Essentially, the programs are the same, but they're just a longer period of time. So it depends on the time you want to take to go raw. If you're looking to go raw, 6 months is more realistic. But for some of you, if your goal is weight loss, if you're closer to going raw than a lot of people, you might only need the 3 months. And the price of that is £2,850 or 6 payments of £499. I can send you the page so you can see all of these. And then 2 programs that people don't take up so much, but I have had someone take up one of these programs. Is a 1-year program, Cruising to Raw, 1 year of coaching and continual support, and that's £4,950, 12 payments of £437. And the 2-year program, which I currently have a client ongoing, they wanted me to work with them for 2 years, £6,475, or up to 24 payments of £275. So it's only really for people that are serious about it, that they are looking to make that change and make that decision. is a significant amount of money, but I believe that the value to you, if we do this right, will last over the course of a lifetime, and it will save you a lot of money over time, especially save you money in maybe going to events, buying lots of books and all sorts of things, and really save you money in going in the wrong direction, saving you time in getting to the right place. So if I'm the person for you and you think that I know what I'm talking about, and I feel like I know what I'm talking about way more than a lot of people in this lifestyle, then hopefully I will be able to fast track you. But there is a guarantee with these programs that if we do not get the result, if you do what we both agree to do, if you do those things and we do not get the result that you want, then you will get all of the money back. So if we work together and we do not get the result that you're wanting, you will get all of the money back. That's how it works. Quite simple. Obviously, the goals have to be realistic, so we're not going to make crazy goals, but we'll make realistic goals based on what you're able to do. If you just decide, if you sign up for the program and after a week or two, you just stop showing up for the sessions and you're not in contact with me anymore, there's no refund available. So you have to be very serious about this. You can join again at any point. You can delay it for 6 months or 3 months or whatever and come back to it. But if you just jump in and do it, and then, if you're just an impulsive person that likes to buy things and whatever makes you feel good, I want you to make sure that you're serious about doing this. And if you're serious about doing this, then we can go ahead and go forward with it. But there's no refund if you just decide, and there's no refund if we get you the results that you want, and then you just want a refund for whatever. If we get the results, then it's been a success. So there's no refund in that situation. But if we do not get the results you want and you participate fully in it, then that's my fault and you get full refund. But right now we have a discount available for the next 3 people, and obviously, of course, you're getting the extra 3 books of your choice. And I'm going to send you the audio program, Dr. Doug Graham's Perfect Health program. And I may as well throw in another program there for you. So you'll get 2 audio programs. We'll send you 2 audio programs. The amount of hours of education you'll get with this potentially is like over 200 hours of education just from the UK Fruit Fest videos, from the Perfect Health program, from a second audio program that I'll get you. It's going to be a lot. So even that in itself will be worth it over time. It's worth studying these things. They have a lot of information in them. There's 4 discounts available at the moment. If you sign up tonight, if you want to get in touch with me about this, there's a 20% discount. That can be £350 or more, depending on the program you want to look at. So if you're one of the next 3 that sign up with me, or send me an email tonight, the deadline is tonight to get the 20% discount, then it's 20% discount. So the email address to email me is info@fruitfest.co.uk, info@fruitfest.co.uk, and if you're one of the first 3, you'll get that. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been giving away a free book online for people that are interested in my coaching, and there's over 350 people roughly that have shown an interest in my coaching. So I'm pretty optimistic that I will fill those 3 slots, and I don't really want to take on any more than 3 people at one time. But if you'd like to be one of those, the first thing we'll do, you won't pay any money first. We'll have a conversation firstly to see if it's right for you before any money is exchanged or anything like that. I only want to take on people that are completely right for this. Anyone that's been at the UK Fruit Fest before will get an additional £100 discount. And if you allow me to do an interview with you after the process, I'll give you another £100 back. If at the end of the process you have to do an interview. So there's money off, but the biggest thing is if you sign up tonight, or not sign up tonight, but get in touch with me tonight, you can potentially get a 20% discount if we choose to go ahead with it. So email me tonight, and if you're one of the first three, then you'll get as much as, I think actually something, if it's one of the longer programs, you'll get like £1,500 off, £2,000 off. So it can be a lot. And once again, the refund policy in full is we'll both work out specific targets and goals for you to achieve. If you can honestly say that you followed my advice, turned up for the sessions, and tracked your progress every day in the way that I ask, and that you're doing what we discussed, then you will get a 100% refund if we don't get you the result that you wanted to. No refund will be given for those who did not participate in the program fully, or for those who meet or exceed the agreed upon results. So we need a bit of pressure on us sometimes to make sure that we perform and turn up, and that's why it why it works to actually have money involved. And to get started, please send me an email to the address Ronnie. I'll send you a link to this with coaching in the subject line. info@fruitfest.co.uk or ronnie.smith84@gmail.com with coaching in the title, and let me know what you're looking for. And I'll just put this page here, and we'll go over a few last minute little testimonials here. I'll share the screen. So let's see, is that bringing up the screen? Share. Yep. So these are some little testimonials if you're interested in working with me. This is my friend Melissa from Rawfield Romance, who gave me a recommendation. I always look forward to working with Ronnie. His compassion and drive to help people find freedom with fruits and vegetables is needed in this world. I look forward to his fruit festivals and appreciate his hard work and willingness to go the extra mile. He knows his stuff, and anyone with questions shouldn't hesitate to reach out to him. Not only is he a great teacher, leader, and friend, he's a talented musician and wonderful comedian. Definitely recommend him if you're looking for guidance when choosing a raw vegan diet. So Melissa, Roger King, who's a man who's been to the festival a lot and is a counsellor and a trainer and an author. Gives me a little bit of a shout out or whatever you want to call it here. Ronnie's a dedicated raw vegan. He's organised a highly successful festival, which now attracts hundreds of souls each year. Over the last 5 years, he's going over some of it. Ronnie lives what he teaches. Ronnie's easy to approach and will listen and respond to anyone thinking of living a raw vegan lifestyle. Ronnie is well read, always researching the latest news on being a raw vegan. If you're thinking of a personal coach mentor to help you with your change, I highly recommend Ronnie to you. This is Grant Campbell, ultramarathon runner, a friend of mine. Ronnie's coaching and mentoring skills are high caliber. His style of communicating concepts with simplicity, elegance, and common sense leaves a lasting impression on others. I believe is a great factor in why he's such a successful coach and great influencer. I highly recommend Ronnie's offerings and services. And my friend Harriet. Ronnie is one of the most brilliant teachers within the raw vegan movement. I would definitely throw myself into the clouds of his delicious raw vegan diet with him as a teacher without hesitation. So hopefully some of that means something. Stop share. Yeah, good. Okay, so I'm back here. And I'll send you this page here. Some of the information is a little bit old, but this is the page. So thank you for listening to all that information. If you are interested in coaching and it's something that you're looking for help with, have a look at the information there. There is a special discount for those who want to sign up tonight, because I'm looking for 3 more people. Well, basically the 3 next people. I only really want to work with about 3 people at a time to make sure that I'm giving them all the time essential to make the changes or help them with those changes. So you can check that information out, and you can send me an email, info@fruitfest.co.uk. If you put coaching in the subject, then we'll set up a time to have a telephone call, and we'll discuss it a little bit further to see if it's something that would work for you. And if it's not right for you, we won't go ahead with it. It's simply, sorry, I'm trying to do two things at one time here. If it's not right for you, then I'll be able to recommend you something else to do or someone else. It might not really be coaching you're looking for. It might be something completely different. Some of you might be looking for to come to an event like the UK Fruit Fest or a retreat. And there's a number of retreats around the world. If you're looking for fasting, I can recommend different things like that to you. But I am offering specifically my coaching. And if you check out that information at the website, at the link that I'll provide below, look at it. And there's a special deal for those tonight. Well, basically for the next 3 people. But get in touch as soon as possible, and we can have a discussion about what we want to do. So thank you for tonight. If there's no remaining questions, then I'm going to end this little meeting now. I don't think there's any remaining questions. We talked about weight loss. That was about an hour ago, I guess now. And just to quickly summarize it to finish off, we gain weight because we eat in excess of calories. We have to eat in excess of calories to be able to gain weight. That's physically what has to happen. When we're talking about weight gain, we're talking about mostly fat gain. If we're talking about weight loss, it's mostly losing fat is what we must focus on. But not all calories are equal. And all foods have 3 macronutrients that make up the calories in the diet: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates and proteins have less calories than fat does. Calories are the way that we measure the amount of fuel in a food. Calories are the measurement of the amount of fuel in a food, and every day we have a calorie deficit that we need to make up by eating enough food. The 3 different macronutrients are in different proportions in different foods, and the body treats those differently. Carbohydrates, foods that are high in carbohydrates are treated differently to foods that are high in fat. Foods that are high in carbohydrate are, how did I put this? Foods that are high in carbohydrate, any excess carbohydrate is stored as glycogen, not stored as fat. But any amount of fat that you eat is stored as fat immediately and then used as energy. So if you eat an excess of calories, the stored fat will remain as stored fat and will continue to build. That's why we gain weight. But if you just eat a carbohydrate-rich diet, you will struggle. You will not be able to store fat as much because it is very hard for the body to turn carbohydrates into fat. The conclusion leads to the place that to lose weight consistently, we must stick to a diet that is predominated by carbohydrate-rich foods and limited in the amount of fat-rich foods. If you want to gain weight, you must eat carbohydrates and fat. It's true that you can lose weight by cutting out all carbohydrates, but this is not a healthy diet over time, so it's not really worth thinking about. Why do people tend to lose weight on a raw vegan diet? Usually because they eat too few calories, because they don't realize that raw foods have less calories in proportion to the volume of the food than other food sources. But if you are putting on weight on a raw vegan diet and you're trying to lose weight, it's probably because you are including foods like nuts, seeds, oil, tahini, and other foods like that, on top of eating a lot of fruit and a lot of carbohydrates. So in order to lose the weight, we must cut down on our total calories, which is by cutting down mostly on the fat-rich foods. And then if we want to lose weight, if we're not still losing weight at that point, then we need to cut down slightly on our carbohydrates so that we're consistently losing weight over the course of a year, and we need to set our expectations properly. So, the raw vegan diet is excellent for losing weight. Oh, I've got a lot of comments here I didn't realize I had. But thank you for watching tonight. And if any of this information is of interest to you, let me know on the feedback. If you're looking for coaching, get in touch. We're going to end this now. Oh, we have a question. What's the email address for the coaching, please? It's info@fruitfest.co.uk. So a few people are already messaging me about the coaching. So thank you very much. And we'll see you soon in the next webinar. If you want to let me know a topic, give me some feedback, feel free to put a comment below if you're on YouTube, or send me a message. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was clear to you tonight. And if I can help you, please get in touch. Thank you for now.